It all starts in the game Nine Worlds, where the terrifying final boss of Purgatory is on its last legs after wiping out half the player base on the battlefield. Suzumu Hoda realizes this is his 32nd attempt at clearing the boss, and he's the only warrior left standing. Even totally exhausted, our protagonist knows this insane difficulty is just standard for the game's final challenge. With that in mind, he's determined to take the creature down to hit level 100 and finally become the strongest in the world. The warrior lunges at the monster, aiming for that sweet, sweet supreme awakening. Getting ready for his big move, he focuses on changing his destiny and restoring the Hoda family name to its former glory. A brutal collision erupts the moment his sword connects with the massive beast. Right after, Suzumu unleashes a devastating, flaming annihilation strike to prove he's the ultimate player. The impact triggers a massive explosion, and the system finally announces the dungeon boss has been defeated. Collapsing to his knees from exhaustion, he celebrates the hard-earned win and the long-awaited awakening. But wait, a mysterious silver-haired mage creeps up behind him, looking totally suspicious. This is Akira, who cynically congratulates our hero on a great job in the battle. Shocked to see him, Suzumu asks if he was just playing dead the whole time. The mage just smirks and says it's way too late for him to figure things out. Without wasting a second, Akira hits him with a lethal shadow attack, warning that he's taking all the loot from the raid for himself. The strike pierces Suzumu's body without mercy, shredding his armor to pieces. Furious at the betrayal, he yells, wanting to know what on earth the mage is doing. Still in denial, the warrior asks if they weren't teammates just a moment ago. Akira laughs at the situation and asks if a loser from the Hoda family really thought they were equals. Floating with his dark magic, the traitor mocks him, wondering how the protagonist plans to fight while on the verge of checking out. Spitting blood from the damage, Suzumu swears he's not letting things end like this. Purely fueled by rage, he vows to come back from the afterlife to get his revenge and make the guy regret everything. But Akira just brushes off the threat, revealing that the assassins he hired are currently wiping out the entire Hoda family in the real world. This cruel revelation leaves the protagonist in complete shock, frozen in his place. Suddenly, the game connection is abruptly cut, and the system forces a disconnect. Back in the real world, an assassin in a suit points a gun at Suzumu's head, confirming his identity. The guy has him pinned by the hair, and Suzumu can't even try to defend himself. Looking at the floor, he spots his mother's body, brutally taken from him in a pool of blood. In total despair, he asks if it was Akira who paid them to do this. The man tells him to keep quiet and fires a lethal shot, while Suzumu laments the bitter betrayal before everything goes black for good. Bleeding out on the floor, the guy realizes his fate was sealed a long time ago and that he was just a pawn. He was so close to changing his life and finally restoring his family's glory. Thinking back to his grandfather telling him never to tarnish their prestige, he realizes way too late that he was a victim of a setup. Remembering the rival Ryuzaki family taking power, he bitterly wishes he had just one chance to start over. Suddenly, Suzumu slams his hand on a desk, swearing he's going to crush every one of his enemies. But he gets super confused when he realizes he's sitting in the middle of a high school classroom. Looking at his own hands, the guy wonders how this is even possible since he should be gone on his house floor. A bully walks up demanding money, and Suzumu recognizes Saburo Suzuki, the guy who used to extort him back in the day. The protagonist stays quiet, processing that his family was always treated like public enemy number one. Annoyed by the silence, Saburo starts yelling, asking if he's being ignored by some random nobody. Losing patience, the aggressor grabs him by the collar in an aggressive way. Taking advantage of the opening, Suzumu lands a brutal punch right in the bully's face without hesitation. After the strike, he's surprised to notice his physical body perfectly remembers the combat moves from the game. Even without his supreme awakening, his muscle strength and reflexes have completely changed in this new life. Pumped about the discovery, he knows his previous effort wasn't for nothing, and that he's going to use all that knowledge to his advantage now. It turns out that Nine Worlds isn't just a simple game, but a divine system capable of influencing the real world. Reaching level 100 grants the supreme awakening, allowing virtual skills to be brought into real life, ensuring absolute power. That's exactly why thousands of people have sacrificed everything, diving headfirst into dungeons to try to turn their lives around. Suzumu realizes he's got a golden second chance and wonders if his dear grandfather is looking out for him from above. The commotion in class quickly grabs attention, and other students start yelling, accusing the protagonist of bullying. The teacher in charge appears at the door and orders the guy to follow him to the office immediately. Once there, the man gives him a lecture, asking why he's ruining the class harmony by acting like a hoodlum. In a very ironic tone, the teacher asks if the kid still thinks he's the important young master of a powerful family. The guy stares at him coldly, remembering how he ignored the extortion but acted real fast as soon as the student decided to fight back. Suzumu easily concludes that this hypocrite has also been bought off by the cursed Ryuzaki family. Back in the day, the Hoda family and the Ryuzaki family were the two biggest and most respected clans in the country, locked in a constant war. Until a tragic plane crash wiped out the main Hoda leaders in one go, plunging the clan into total ruin overnight. The enemy clan used the tragedy to steal all their territories, leaving the survivors with absolutely nothing and completely isolated. Going back to speaking with contempt, the teacher warns that the student is no longer untouchable and needs to learn to lower his head to others. To finish the humiliation, the man calls the protagonist a total loser with no future. Not standing for the cowardly insult, the guy lunges and grabs the teacher's shirt, yelling that his family isn't made of losers. The man panics at the attitude and demands the kid let go now or hell call school security. Ignoring the threat, Suzumu warns that he knows about the Ryuzaki's dirty money and guarantees hell have his license revoked if he's provoked. After pushing the old guy back into his chair, the protagonist finally remembers that today is the big game release day. He decides to head straight home to create his account, since this virtual system is his only real hope of fixing things. Using every memory from his past life, he's sure he's going to dominate the game and get way ahead of everyone else. Walking down the streets, he focuses on being the first to awaken to keep his mother from being taken again because of his weakness. Arriving in front of his humble home, the guy makes the choice to hide his name in the game so he doesn't become an early target this time. He opens the door with a heavy heart, swearing to himself he'll protect his mother's life no matter what obstacles come. Right at the entrance, she welcomes her son with a big smile and joy while she keeps cooking their meal. She kindly warns him that dinner is served and tells the boy to hurry up and eat with her. Suzumu stays dead silent, feeling a huge emotional hit seeing her alive and well right in front of him after so much suffering. Noticing her son is frozen at the door, his mom approaches, worried, wanting to know if he's in any pain. At the dinner table, she advises him not to stress too much about problems, and even jokes, asking if he's into any girls at school. Seeing her smile so peacefully, the protagonist makes a mental promise that he'll never let her be in any kind of danger in the future. With the dishes washed, Suzumu notes the game will launch soon and realizes he needs to go get ready fast. Up in his room with the gear in his hands, he notes the model is old, but remembers he saved all his allowance to buy it. Putting the headset on, the protagonist guarantees that it's time to work together once more. Soon after, the system loading screen appears, glowing impressively in the virtual room. A welcome message pops up, but rejecting the standard option is the secret key to access a much higher challenge. Knowing normal classes have power limits, the warrior decides to ignore the conventional path in search of maximum strength. As soon as he declines the selection, the system starts the purgatory test, and the guy warns he's ready to face anything. Totally focused on changing his own destiny, Suzumu promises that this time he'll reach the absolute top as a god of war. With that, he's teleported to a completely devastated landscape covered in scorching flames. The system asks the player to choose their starting weapon, and without thinking twice, he says obviously he's using a sword. Understanding the rules of the place, he knows full well that this choice will dictate the entire course of his evolution in the game. To reach the strength he wants so much, the protagonist concludes that wielding a blade is his only viable option now. He materializes the weapon in his hands, guaranteeing it'll take him straight to the top of the world. Immediately, the system recognizes the choice and forges gear completely customized for his skills. Satisfied with the result, the guy recognizes the same blade of fire he used in his past life after awakening. Wielding the weapon firmly, the warrior promises to use this power to totally crush that first challenge. The hidden purgatory test officially begins, revealing an immense horde of monsters rising amidst the flames. Not wasting time, the creepy creatures rush desperately toward the player. The monsters show a brutal fury in their eyes, ready to tear apart any intruder in their path. Noticing the enemy's aggression, Suzumu mocks the situation, feeling bad for their lack of luck. He lunges at the crowd, delivering precise strikes, proving he's way more lethal than those zombies. Taking advantage of the carnage, the protagonist guarantees hell wipe them all out until he reaches the perfect completion of the test. Meanwhile, at the system's operation base, an employee alerts that a player is already accessing a secret level. Shocked by the info, the supervisor demands they track this mysterious user's coordinates immediately. The techs rush to type commands into the terminal, trying to locate where the access is coming from. But the operator warns the location is undetectable because the intruder is using gear way too old for the network. Totally bugged by it, the boss warns they can't let some nobody steal the spotlight of the game with a cheap headset. Without thinking twice, he orders all the elite players in the corporation to enter the system to dominate the challenge. One of the admins reinforces the order for the shock team, making it clear that failing isn't an acceptable option. Looking out the window, the director reflects that even though they created the game, they still don't have total control over the events. The man understands that this virtual environment is a living reality and the only chance to prevent the true world apocalypse. Thinking about the mysterious player, he hopes for a good performance, since the pain of the hidden test feels basically real. Back in Purgatory, Suzumu keeps landing devastating strikes while taunting the monsters, asking for more of a challenge. Facing a giant creature, the protagonist says those enemies are garbage compared to what he faced in the past. With sharp reflexes, he defends the brutal impacts using his blade to block the enemy attacks. Surrounded by a literal sea of zombies, the warrior keeps ripping through the crowd while his progress hits 63%. Thinking that mark is way too low, he tells the creatures to keep coming for the slaughter without any mercy. Spinning his sword with fury, the young guy tells the system to witness the birth of an unbeatable legend on the battlefield. Back at the lab, one of the elite players rips his gear off his face, yelling that he's burning alive. Chaos takes over the room, with several agents giving up on the test, desperate from the extreme pain of the virtual damage. Noticing the mass failure, the researcher suggests lowering the difficulty, since no one even passed 20%. But the director warns that changing the code is impossible, since the game now evolves and works completely autonomously. Without being able to interfere with the divine rules, he laments that all they can do is hope someone on the team survives that nightmare. Analyzing the monitor screens, the techs confirm that the failure rate has already eliminated almost the entire battalion. The leader quickly does the math and notices an anomaly, because the number of survivors doesn't match the original entry data. One of the operators checks the panel and confirms that the unknown intruder is the only extra one proceeding in the simulation. Everyone in the lab is completely stunned to see that this guy's progress is at 99%. Breaking a sweat, the director tries to understand what kind of crazy tactic this kid is using to get so far. Inside Purgatory, Suzumu lunges relentlessly at a humanoid monster in the middle of the hellish destruction. Despite being covered in bruises, the protagonist smiles, excited, feeling that the battle finally got interesting. With his sword resting on his shoulders, he stares at the adversary, deducing that this must be the big boss of the challenge. The monster walks up holding an exact replica of his fire weapon, making the warrior compliment the creature's stylish copy. In response, the beast shows a demonic, threatening look, focused only on wiping the player out once and for all. Without any warning, the creature fires an extremely fast greenish energy slash toward the guy. Taking advantage of the opening after the dodge, Suzumu prepares to finish the showdown using only a single mortal blow. The impact of the attack triggers a colossal energy explosion that lights up the entire fire-devastated arena. But the boss manages to resist the explosion and appears right in front of the warrior's face in a flash. With insane reflexes, the guy lifts his heavy sword just in time to block the monster's surprise attack. Feeling the weight of the collision, he holds the pressure and mocks the beast's failed attempt to mimic him in combat. Using all his brute strength, the young guy pushes the adversary back while sparks fly from the grinding swords. After defeating the beast, the system congratulates Suzumu on the win and starts generating his exclusive hidden class. Bathed in divine light, the guy receives the title of Supreme Swordsman, a rarity ranked with insane skills. Reading the stats, he's amazed to see that the starting bonuses of this new class humiliate his power from his past life. The warrior notes that this passive skill is already way superior to the advanced awakening techniques he worked so hard to get. Doing the math, he understands that combining 9 divine swords will multiply his status to a totally broken level. Shocked by his own potential, the young guy admits that set of advantages surpasses anything he's ever seen. On top of that, the system unlocks automatic quests for evolutions that no one in the game even imagined existed. With a focused look, Suzumu realizes he has a real shot at reaching an evolutionary form never seen in history. Totally renewed by the victory, he declares the start of his family's revenge and defines his next step. Thinking back to the secret tactics, the guy plans to head to the starting village to steal an exclusive dark divine sword. The problem is that the guardian of this treasure is an extremely powerful boss who goes totally crazy during the battle. Even knowing the huge risks, the warrior says he's going to play as aggressively as possible in this second chance. So he's transported to the gates of the peaceful city, swearing that everyone's destiny will be much different now. Walking through the busy streets of the game, he looks at the vastness of that nostalgic virtual environment with excitement. Stretching his arms in a relaxed way, the protagonist finally celebrates his return to the place where it all started. Domo Village is one of the 9 great empires of the game, located right on the edge of the kingdom. Looking at the place, Suzumu feels nostalgia with the memories and decides to focus on finding the NPCs first. Since his starting class is very flashy, the guy decides to hide his info and skills to not attract attention. With that, the system confirms it's a totally free-roaming game world, hiding his rarest titles. Satisfied with the discretion, the protagonist concludes he should avoid flashy moves so he doesn't get into trouble for no reason. Walking through the crowd, he remembers he needs to finish a hidden stage to get the S-rank divine sword. But the warrior notes he needs to hit level 5 and get a weapon from an instructor to trigger the quest. Soon he arrives at the house of the novice swordsman instructor and prepares to enter the place. Opening the door, the guy remembers all the insane effort he had to put in his past life just to get there. Once inside, he observes the vast training arena of the building in complete silence. Sitting there is instructor Owen, who soon asks if the newcomer is a new warrior looking to learn the basics. Without beating around the bush, Suzumu confirms his interest and asks directly to receive his first quest. Knowing these starting tasks are usually just letter deliveries, he guarantees it'll be easy since he memorized the whole map. The big guy stands up and warns that the prize for success will be a weapon and a new skill. Staring at the kid with total seriousness, the instructor finally reveals the challenge. Drawing a heavy sword, the man warns that the test consists of handling his attacks for 30 seconds. Intimidatingly, he points the blade and tells the kid to get out if he's not capable of handling the pressure. The protagonist is surprised, thinking that surviving that long against an instructor is totally brutal. Pushing through his memory, he recalls that this guy's real identity is that of a very important general of the kingdom. The man abandoned the battlefields on his own after killing his best friend from an enemy nation. Suzumu assesses that the veteran's level is near 70, an insane difficulty for any beginner. Noticing the hesitation, the big guy yells, asking if the kid is scared of the challenge. The guy draws his simple training sword, while the man warns he's free to run if he wants. Far from retreating, the warrior just smiles, mocking the idea of being scared of that. Very excited, he guarantees 30 seconds is a piece of cake and prepares to test the difference in his current strength. Focused, the young guy admits he's curious to find out what the reward will be if he wins this fight for real. Assuming the combat stance, the instructor promises to go easy and fight as if he were someone level 10. Without losing time, the veteran lunges fast, telling the opponent to use all his strength to survive. With the enemy already on top of him, Suzumu prepares for the impact of the first brutal blow. The clash of blades happens with force, and the guy realizes his current physical body won't handle the direct pressure. Making a huge effort, the warrior grinds his teeth so he doesn't give up a single inch. Impressed by the defense, the instructor compliments the kid's ability to block his weight. Taking some distance, the big guy warns he wants to see how long the kid will manage to keep that guard up. A heavy blow hits the protagonist square on, dragging his body back from the insane force of the impact. The veteran is surprised to notice the insane speed with which the kid recovered from the lunge. Right after, the man starts a sequence of relentless slashes while the guy just dodges and blocks. Raising the level, the instructor fires a massive wave of energy, wanting to see if the other escapes that one. Feeling the extreme pressure, Suzumu realizes his old iron sword will break if he keeps defending everything. The impact sparks with the collision of the blades, showing the young guy's gear is at its limit. Despite the gear disadvantage, the guy focuses his eyes, noticing a perfect opening to counterattack. With that, he dodges quickly under the adversary's arm, taking advantage of the totally open guard. Since the enemy blow is slow and focused on battlefields, the protagonist positions himself at the veteran's defenseless back. But the man turns quickly, complimenting the kid's reading but guaranteeing that just that isn't enough to win. Spinning his body with agility, the big guy throws a powerful reverse slash toward the opponent. Suzumu is shocked to see that the man stabilized his stance in midair just to return the lunge in the same coin. The heavy blade passes a few centimeters from the guy's face, who can barely react in time. Dodging by a hair, he recognizes the true weight of a technique forged in the horrors of war. The blow misses the target and smashes the arena floor, raising a lot of dust with the brutal shock. With that, the system announces the end of the battle, informing that the 30 seconds have just run out. Panting on the floor, the protagonist laments the failure in the final second, but swears he won't lose next time. The instructor surprises him by extending a hand to help him up, declaring the young guy's victory. With a smile on his face, the veteran praises the guy's resistance during the whole set time. Accepting the help, the warrior stands up, pulling the big guy's hand in a friendly way. Maintaining the confidence, the young guy warns that next time he'll prove he can win for real with brute force. The man claims to be looking forward to that, and soon materializes a scroll along with a shiny weapon as a reward. Presenting the items, he hands over an iron sword ranked as an extra prize for the excellent performance. Very grateful for the unexpected bonus, the guy thanks him while taking the brand new blade. Excited about the newly acquired gear, he concludes that he's finally ready to take on the beginner's area. While the young guy turns to go, the instructor watches him from afar, recognizing his immense talent. Alone, the veteran admits he broke his promise and used the strength of a level 20 during that last counterattack. Already outside the building, Suzumu opens the scroll while the veteran's voice echoes, confessing the guilt for the excessive blow. Reading the magical content in his hands, the protagonist realizes immediately what he's just won. The shock comes from noticing that the granted skill is Class A Fire, something way superior to the standard rank E reward. Despite the brutal difficulty, he celebrates the achievement, guaranteeing that the current advantages far surpass his past life. Wrapped in an impressive mystical aura, the warrior runs toward the monster den to level up quickly. Around the village, other players suffer, fighting against wild creatures, complaining about their insane strength. One of the kids goes into total panic while trying to get a rabies-filled squirrel off his arm. Right next to him, another guy runs desperate, trying to understand why on earth a rabbit is hunting humans. Since the server just opened, chaos sets in with the crowd getting beat up by the beasts out of pure lack of habit. Ignoring the general embarrassment, the protagonist reflects that in a few days the veterans will figure out the right strategy to hunt there. With that, one of the novice players warns him to kill small animals first, calling the newcomer a suicide. The warrior thanks him for the concern in a friendly way, but warns over his shoulder that his target is infinitely bigger. His goal is the fire boars in the depths of the woods, because they guarantee a lot of experience and hide a dangerous boss. Determined to level up in one go, he knows he needs to focus on the stronger enemies to throw off the big shots on his tail. With the plan mapped out, the young guy finally reaches the densest area of the forest, swearing that's the perfect place for the slaughter. In the middle of the woods, Suzumu assesses the area and remembers that the fire boars are super territorial and will attack if he walks openly around there. To confirm the theory, he soon notices the abrupt movement in the bushes and prepares to receive the first visitor. An adult level 3 fire boar lunges at high speed with blood in its eyes straight toward the warrior. Without retreating, the protagonist draws his sword confident, knowing full well the beast has a strong defense but also has a clear weak point. Strategically, he attacks, aiming for the soft parts of the body, remembering that's the golden rule against superior monsters. With a precise slash, the guy kills the beast quickly, and the system soon warns about the big gain of experience points from the win. Observing the creature's carcass fading away, he notes his progress toward the next level is already halfway there. Excited about the efficiency, the young guy concludes that hunting higher-level monsters really guarantees an insane boost in growth. In a quick calculation, he predicts he needs to take down just one more of these beasts to finally level up. With that, things get easier for the warrior when a whole group of adult boars spots him and starts running furiously in his direction. Satisfied with the quick delivery, Suzumu gets into combat position, mocking that the beasts came straight for the slaughter without ceremony. To speed up the service, the guy decides to test his new skill and activates the magic flame that completely covers his weapon's blade. The intense shine of the magic impresses the protagonist, who compliments the damage boost and the elemental fire enchantment applied to his gear. Totally prepared for the massacre, he doesn't wait for the beasts to arrive and lunges at the wild group with everything he's got. With a devastating move, the young guy delivers the first flaming attack, testing the true power of his new technique against the targets. The impact of the magic sword rips through the boar's body violently, releasing a trail of glowing blue energy through the air. Without losing the rhythm, Suzumu pierces the other enemies with a lethal sequence of slashes, opening a path in the middle of the herd. The system confirms the sequence of eliminations with success, dumping a massive amount of experience directly to the guy. Thanks to the fast advance, he celebrates the feat, guaranteeing this start is way easier than in his past life. However, the noise of the commotion ends up attracting even more attention, and a new horde of boars emerges, running crazy to attack him. Focused on the fast evolution, the warrior shows a lot of confidence and calls all the creatures for direct combat without any fear. Taking advantage of the large quantity of targets, he releases an insane flaming spin, promising to turn each of those monsters into experience. A short time later, the battlefield is totally covered by the carcasses of the beasts that were slaughtered by the protagonist. After catching his breath, the young guy finds he's cleared the adult area and decrees that the next target will be the king of the den. As if answering the call, the colossal creature appears, stomping hard, completely furious and ready to avenge its destroyed herd. In front of the giant creature, the guy feels the weight of nostalgia and tries to remember how many years ago he defeated that same boss for the last time. Keeping his calm in front of the threat, he admits he suffered a lot to manage to overcome that challenge during his first life in the game. Without giving time for rest, the Boar King lets out a thunderous roar and lunges with everything, using its insane weight as a weapon. The warrior assesses the imminent attack, knowing perfectly well that the monstrous stats of that boss are the biggest nightmare of beginner players. Due to that huge disadvantage of brute strength, the young guy's obvious tactic is to dodge the lunge quickly instead of trying to block the impact head-on. With the creature passing straight by, he prepares his lethal move with an extremely sharp and deadly look. In the gap left by the failed lunge, the guy slides along the floor and delivers a powerful slash coming from below. The magic blade hits the exact point he was planning, catching the monster off guard during its own clumsy movement. After the spectacular blow, the protagonist reveals that the biggest weakness of that fearsome boss is right inside its wide-open mouth. The critical impact of the blow is so devastating that it rips the colossal creature from one end to the other in the blink of an eye. With the boss defeated without big difficulties, the system rewards the player instantly with a direct advance to level 5. Satisfied with the result, the warrior celebrates the achievement, knowing he's finally fit to take on the secret challenge of Pandora. Before leaving the place, his attention is stolen by two glowing energy orbs that start floating out of the boss' carcass. Very curious about the bonus reward, the guy approaches and touches the shiny items to find out what that rare loot is about. The reveal of the items leaves the young guy extremely excited, proving that his extra effort in that combat really paid off. The prize is a ring that increases inventory and armor with fire resistance, pieces incredibly useful for this starting phase of the game. While reading the attributes in detail, the protagonist guarantees that those two pieces of gear will make his next journeys way easier. Without wasting time, he already equips the magic ring on his finger, celebrating the big win and the immediate expansion of his storage space. Focused on his true mission, the guy crouches near the monster, remembering he needs to keep a specific material for his main goal. Using his sword as a tool, he starts to extract the rib of the giant beast, swearing that piece will be the perfect item for the task. With the huge, sharp bone properly cleaned in his hands, the young guy declares that this stage of the plan is officially complete. Storing the heavy material in his inventory, the guy prepares to finally start the long-awaited hidden stage of Pandora. However, he recalls he needs to look for one more important detail before, guaranteeing that only with that in hand will he manage to trigger the quest. Returning to Domo Village, the warrior goes straight to the house of the priestess responsible for training the novice mages of that region. The guy knows very well that this secret quest is a unique event in the world, and that it disappears completely as soon as someone manages to complete it. Because of this competitive exclusivity, the protagonist pushes the building's door in a hurry so he doesn't let anyone steal his golden chance. Inside, he soon finds the mage concentrated, reading her spellbooks quietly in a private library. The woman notices the strange presence and questions the kid very directly, noticing right away he doesn't have the profile of a magic apprentice. During the interaction, Suzumu reflects that to unlock the secret stage, he needs to raise that priestess affection level to 7. To his initial despair, the system informs that the woman is annoyed with the intrusion, and her affection ended up falling to -2 at that moment. Despite the hostile reception and the negative numbers, the guy keeps his calm, guaranteeing to himself that he has the situation under total control. He pulls from his memory that this instructor is part of a very annoying quest chain, but one that rewards with an insane amount of affection if it's resolved. With that in mind, the young guy draws a beautiful purple flower from his inventory, explaining he picked the plant on the way exactly to use as a bribe. Being extremely polite, the warrior offers the flower as a gift and makes himself available to help the priestess with her problems. The respectful attitude and the rarity of the item leave the woman completely surprised, making her forget the irritation of a few minutes ago. The protagonist is conscious that that plant isn't a simple decoration, being the great symbol of the enemy organization that acts in the shadows of the village. Along with the object, he plays dirty, using his previous knowledge that the instructor herself is part of that criminal group in secret. His master move consists of using the flower to fool the NPC, making her faithfully believe that the guy is a valuable ally of the same faction. Fooled by the situation, the mage asks desperately for the young guy to help recover control of a fire horse that ran away from the academy. With the system confirming the start of the official task, the warrior accepts the quest with excitement and promises he's going to deal with the runaway animal. Already on the outside, the guy runs through the streets of the city, focused on finding his next target before others do. Analyzing the situation, the protagonist celebrates that everything is happening exactly as he predicted, and he knows the perfect strategy to deal with the beast. The young guy remembers that this is an event where a crowd of players needs to team up to tire the mount, and only the most skilled one wins the right to ride it. Taken by greed, the warrior plans to crush any competition and guarantee the magic mount exclusively for his own use. Soon, the guy reaches the outskirts of the village's main ranch, the exact point where the commotion with the wild beast usually happens. Near the wooden fences, he feels that nostalgia hitting hard again as he sees the original facilities of the pasture. Without much delay, his target appears running crazy through the field, with the flames shining intensely all over its ebony fur. In front of the animal's fury, Suzumu can't avoid remembering the monumental beating he took from the beast's kicks in his previous life. To his relief, the kid spots a desperate farmer in the corner and identifies the guy as the one responsible for that chaotic task. Determined to tame the fire horse no matter what, the protagonist lunges to speak with the NPC, aiming to finally unlock the coveted secret labyrinth of Pandora. Upon arriving at the ranch, the employee asks if the protagonist is the hero who came to tame the fire horse. Suzumu soon confirms the info, warning he came to the location at Elsa's request. Excited about the arrival, the man says the timing was perfect and that now they total 8 people. Looking at the group next to him, the guy recognizes the 3 players who were very famous in his past life. With that, he deduces that their presence there means other veterans from the past are also gathering at the location. The warrior continues observing the surroundings and recognizes 2 more very familiar figures. Seeing the rest of the group, the young guy confirms that all those players are former elite members. He reflects that while he was clearing the hidden stage, the others reached him, and if he hadn't wasted time, he would be way stronger. But the protagonist guarantees that now that he arrived, there's no longer any need for any of them to be there. However, one of the girls mocks the guy, stating that with a username like that, it's impossible for him to win. Far from taking offense, Suzumu finds the reaction understandable since they don't know he's leading the game. After all, his fake name hides both his real skills and his true identity. Interrupting the conversation, the employee yells, ordering everyone to enter the ranch and tame the animal. With the quest officially started, the crowd watches the beast in flames while they comment on the participants' level. One of the spectators points out surprised that 7 players form teams, but that rookie kid is going totally alone. Without having any faith in the guy, the audience comments that trying to do that without a team is a guaranteed loss. Suddenly, the guard captain appears, asking if the people want to make a bet on the result. The sudden proposal leaves the crowd very surprised and excited about the idea. Quickly, the betting system is opened, showing the options and the victory chances of each competitor. The captain explains that the winners will receive payment based on the odds, and that the minimum bid is 1 coin. Analyzing the teams, a player points out that the mage's group is the most balanced and has the highest chance of success. Soon the yelling starts with everyone betting their coins on the veterans, until someone throws 50 coins on the protagonist. The crowd is shocked and starts asking what idiot threw money in the trash betting on the lone kid. Holding a money bag, Suzumu speaks up, revealing he bet on himself to win the challenge. The other players call the guy crazy for risking such a high amount on an impossible victory. But the warrior just shrugs, warning quietly that no one knows the result until the fight ends. Confirming the transaction, the guard captain accepts the high bet and officializes the young guy's bid. Annoyed by the audacity, the beast tamer thinks that idiot will find out the hard reality in the worst way possible. The priest agrees with his colleague, grumbling that arrogant idiots can be found anywhere. Breaking the tense mood, the protagonist warns that now isn't the time to be yapping because the beast just arrived. Showing all its fury, the fire horse lunges brutally against the group of players. The mage's team attacks first, with the tank calling the beast's attention while they try to blind the beast. The audience vibrates with the synchronization of the team, guaranteeing that hit would kill a common horse on the spot. Only watching from afar, Suzumu assesses that such a weak attack would never defeat that special monster. As expected, the beast gets enraged and throws the three players far away with a single devastating impact. Without managing to defend themselves, the group hits the ranch's protection fence violently. The system announces the trio's elimination, leaving the crowd in panic to see veterans being defeated so easily. The protagonist understands that a level 5 body can't handle that creature, and the reason for its lack of control is another. Taking advantage of the opening, the mercenary asks for cover for the beast tamer to start his strategy. Promptly, the ally conjures a beast control spell in an attempt to dominate the target's mind. The magic hits the monster square on, making the animal stop its movements for a brief instant. The mercenary lunges at high speed, focused on immobilizing the beast completely before attacking. With a lot of agility, the guy does an impressive jump and lands directly on the beast's back. Already mounted on the horse, the player thinks he's a genius and thinks attacking head-on is for idiots. Watching the scene, Suzumu recognizes that the pair used their heads to combine the skills, but laments that want help. Quickly, the horse struggles violently and manages to throw the mercenary off its back. The animal spins its body and lands a brutal kick on the player who is still falling in the air. With the impact against the wood, the system announces that the guy's life hit 0 and he was eliminated from the test. The tamer goes into despair, asking the beast to stop, but ends up being trampled and eliminated right after. Suzumu notes that this creature can't be tamed with normal methods, requiring the use of hidden info from the game. The audience gets tense, commenting that only 2 competitors are left and that the quest will probably be a failure. Walking calmly to the arena, the protagonist denies the crowd's affirmation with a lot of confidence. With an excited smile on his face, the warrior declares that it's finally his turn to play. Noticing the new challenger, the beast stares at him with hate and lunges, crazed for a direct attack. The young guy dodges the initial impact easily, warning the animal that he knows the real reason for its suffering. Totally focused, the guy lunges toward the monster, guaranteeing he's going to crush the source of that pain. Seeing the scene, a player yells from the stands that attacking head-on is suicide, and he's throwing his life away. The entire crowd watches the kid's lunge, totally in shock at the reckless attitude. Sliding under the monster, the audience thinks he's going to die, but the warrior realizes it's the perfect moment. Taking advantage of the opening, Suzumu uses the momentum of the movement and jumps with precision to mount the animal in flames. Clinging firmly to the beast's back, the young guy states he's going to save the animal from that torment. While holding the mount, he takes his hand to the beast's left ear, stating that the problem is there. The warrior reveals there's a poisonous parasite hidden there, and removing it is the key to Pandora's challenge. The kid pulls the sharp rib from his inventory and prepares to do the delicate extraction. Feeling the approach, the fire horse rears violently, trying to throw the intruder off any way it can. The guy makes an insane effort to stay on top of the beast, swearing that's a real life-or-death fight. Without giving up, he pulls the reins with all his strength to try to stabilize the crazed beast. With the mount still struggling crazily, the protagonist understands the crucial moment of the maneuver has arrived. Quickly, he draws the plate of heated oil he extracted from the boar, stating he prepared that exactly for this time. Covering the bone with the material, he drives the tool into the animal's ear, telling the cursed insect to get ready. The blow pierces the poisonous parasite square on, making the guy celebrate the perfect hit of his strategy. Upon ripping the creature from the ear, the horse lets out a loud whinny of relief, while the parasite's blood splashes through the air. Immediately after the pain is removed, the magic mount stops struggling and lands on the ground, totally tamed. Seeing silence reign, Suzumu displays the dead parasite victoriously and asks who there said he was going to lose. The entire stands are left completely jaw-dropped, not believing the lone rookie really managed to tame the beast. After the shocking victory, Suzumu is surprised to notice that hidden info just appeared in the system. The holographic message confirms the defeat of the hallucination insect and the unlocking of secret data of the main quest. Excited, the protagonist reflects that this was impossible in his past life, and that his mission now is totally unique. He remembers that the insect was the key to Pandora's secret, but he didn't expect the game to provide such direct hints. Totally confident with the advance, the guy guarantees to himself that this time he won't make mistakes and he will win. However, he warns that he doesn't have time to check the details of that info in the middle of the arena. In his previous life, the warrior remembers that he lowered his guard at that exact moment and ended up being eliminated by two veterans. Without wasting time, the priest casts a sharpening curse, strengthening his archer companion sneakily. The man warns that the spell increases damage and reduces the target's defense, telling his ally to attack fast because the magic lasts for little. Preparing the arrow, the shooter mocks, saying to leave the service to him, since the target is just a level 5 warrior. With the bow pulled, the shooter guarantees that a rookie incapable of attacking or defending from a distance is no match for the pair. The audience goes into despair, noticing that the real goal of those two cowards was never to tame the horse. One of the players realizes that the cheaters plan to kill whoever controlled the beast, since the system judges the last one standing as the winner. Annoyed with the bastards, Suzumu remembers with disgust how he was taken by surprise and eliminated by this same tactic before. But now the story is different, and he wields his magic sword, ready to return the cowardly aggression with interest. With the blade shining, the protagonist warns that he's totally prepared and activates the perfect handling skill. Even knowing his character level is still low, he guarantees that his real player skills are on another level. Immediately, the system confirms the insane boost of all the guy's stats for 3 minutes due to precise body control. Shocked, the archer sees his fired arrow being cut in half with ease and refuses to believe in that superhuman strength. The stands go crazy seeing the kid use a technique they only knew through official promotional videos. Impressed, the spectators wonder if the lone rookie is a genius for mastering something so advanced at level 5. The young guy reflects with pride that this current precision is just the beginning, and after level 60 he'll reach divine control. Leaving the future aside, the warrior focuses on the present, stating he needs to clean that trash from the arena first. Taking advantage of the opening, he lunges fast, promising to return the arrow attack with the cruel taste of his blade. In total panic, the shooter prepares an area fire art to try to stop the opponent's furious lunge. Desperate, the priest yells for his ally to shoot fast already because the enemy is already on top of them. The archer tries to return the attack, but his hands tremble so much from fear that his aim goes totally crooked and useless. With a fluid movement, Suzumu dodges the projectiles and lands a brutal slash, telling the guy to give up on life. The blow knocks the shooter down instantly, and the system soon announces his life hit 0 in the battle. Seeing his partner fall shredded, the healer is left paralyzed with terror without managing to babble a single word. Pointing the sword still soaked in blood, the warrior warns coldly that now it's the man's turn to face his fury. The protagonist knows that all that initial arrogance is useless, since a healer's hand-to-hand combat ability is 0. Without showing any hint of mercy, he lunges and hits the healer with a lethal blow right in the chest. The defeat notification pops up on the screen, and the audience is amazed to see the rookie take down two veterans in the blink of an eye. Finding the situation funny, the guard captain declares the young guy's victory and warns that his copper coins have just tripled. The guy puts his weapon away calmly while the prize coins materialize, floating straight into his inventory. In the middle of the arena, the imposing horse of flames waits patiently for its newest and most powerful master. Suzumu approaches the beast in a friendly way, petting the animal's snout and asking if he's feeling okay now. The beast accepts the affection meekly, and the system officially recognizes the player as the owner of that coveted mount. Leaving the ranch mounted, the young guy plans his next step to quickly accept the secret quest in Pandora's labyrinth. Riding through the streets, he remembers that the hidden info guarantees a unique reward that no other player on the server possesses. His main plan is to increase his own combat power, guaranteeing the legendary divine sword of the darkness element. In his past life, this insane treasure slipped through his fingers, but he swears that this time the shadow blade will be his alone. A short time after crossing the city, the protagonist arrives calmly at Elsa the priestess' residence. The woman is impressed with the kid's success, while the system confirms the completion of the task and the increase in her affection level. With the affection high enough, the warrior decides it's the perfect time to show the grotesque item and shake things up for good. The young guy extends his hand and reveals the bright purple parasite, warning he took that beast directly from the fire horse's ear. The priestess widens her eyes, completely in shock, recognizing the dangerous magic creature in the guy's hands. The protagonist notes attentively that her scared reaction is exactly as they said in the tip forums of his past life. To trigger the next phase of the challenge, he uses the scripted speech, asking for permission to continue the investigation into the terrible incident. Back in the day, he'd get too frustrated for not managing to get this quest in time, so he engraved every keyword in his own heart. Hiding the fear, the mage stares at the outsider in a deathly silence, evaluating the kid's true intentions quickly. With a threatening tone, the woman questions if he really wants to continue investigating that dangerous mystery to the bottom. Changing her expression to a cynical and friendly smile, she states that the moment is perfect and that she has an important clue for him. The system offers the official quest of Pandora's Labyrinth, and the guy accepts right away, knowing that's the route to the divine sword. Maintaining the perfect acting, the young guy smiles back at the NPC, warning that his obvious answer is to accept the challenge without hesitating. Turning his back to leave the house, the warrior guarantees he's going to take responsibility for the work with a lot of pleasure. The instructor watches the cheeky kid go out the door and wishes him good luck, loaded with a lot of falseness and bad intentions. Alone in the room, the woman reveals her true villain face, stating that any intruder deserves to die painfully in that labyrinth. Immediately, she hurries to report to her superiors about the discovery of the insect and prepare the attack to dominate the village. While walking carefree through the streets, Suzumu thinks that walking to the labyrinth outside the village would be a huge headache. To solve the long-distance problem, the guy takes his fingers to his mouth and gives a loud whistle, calling his newest mount. The huge fire horse answers the call promptly, and the warrior rides through the scenery, showing off a lot of strength and magnificence. The other players on the street go crazy with pure envy seeing some random rookie parading with a magic beast like that. Taking advantage of the attention received, the young guy mocks mentally at their revolt, since that wonderful game doesn't have a real money store. He reflects excited that this revolutionary system is like a real world, where effort and knowledge dictate the rules of the top. Soon the protagonist reaches the Great East Gate of the city, the physical divider that marks the entrance to the dangerous free area of the map. In the outskirts of each village, there are general areas and explorable free areas, and his destination is right in the middle of the lawless territory. In the general area, players focus on hunting simple monsters to level up safely, and combat between humans is totally blocked. However, the free terrain hides scary creatures and allows adventurers to kill each other without any kind of restriction. Suzumu knows very well that the danger level out there is insane, but the reward for exploring the location completely justifies any risk. The big draw of that cursed place is the possibility to loot all the resources of an enemy player as soon as he's eliminated in battle. Besides that, defeating the colossal and cruel creatures in the dangerous zone yields valuable experience points and rare gear. Near the huge gates, the guards form an insurmountable barrier, blocking the passage of curious rookies because of the extreme danger. The adventurers fight with the guards, complaining they need to leave fast to level up, but the system simply blocks the exit of those who are too weak. Near there, a player mocks, asking if Suzumu doesn't know it's forbidden to leave, questioning how he managed such a good mount. The protagonist gets confused by the info and questions if he really doesn't have permission to pass through the gates. With that, the guy remembers he holds exclusive secrets from his past life and draws a shiny money bag from his inventory. Without wasting time, the warrior approaches the guards calmly and offers the money, demanding the way be cleared. The crowd around goes into panic, thinking it's absurd to try to bribe security, and predicts a lethal attack at any moment. Against all expectations, the guards accept the payment, very shocked by the large amount of 100 copper coins. The gates are opened immediately and the young guy lunges on horseback, getting excited by the level of realism of that world. He understands that the rules of the real world also work there, and remembers that was why he bet all his fortune before. Already on the inside, the other adventurers are left completely stunned by the bribe and envy the guy's wealth. Far from there, the system administrators monitor the advance through the screens and confirm that bribing was the smartest move. Back to the game, the kid concludes that forcing his way out would be a hassle and knows he needs to redouble his attention against looters. Despite the imminent danger, he opens a confident smile and admits he's very anxious to discover who will attack him first. While riding calmly down the dirt road, the protagonist ends up being monitored by a pair of criminals in the bushes. The bandits assess that a mere level 5 rookie leaving the village will be an incredibly easy prey for them to take down. Focused on the robbery, the criminals lunge at high speed, celebrating that hunting players is the best way to gain resources. Confident in the ambush, one of the assassins jumps for the attack, thinking the kid fell for the trap perfectly. However, upon surrounding the mount in flames, they realize with surprise that the young guy was just pretending to be a defenseless victim. Staring at the enemies with coldness, Suzumu mocks that a simple noise from the horse was enough to attract that bunch of trash. Very excited about the showdown, the warrior guarantees without hesitating that he's going to wipe out each one of those assassin players. Staring at the kid, the bandit questions if he's underestimating them for having a lower level and doubts he can beat both alone. Keeping his calm with the sword on his shoulder, Suzumu hits back, guaranteeing they'll only find out the answer if they try their luck. With that, the protagonist jumps off his magic mount, telling the beast to behave and wait calmly nearby. Preparing his blade for combat, he plans to eliminate those guys fast so he can go back to riding around. The masked assassin prepares his daggers and promises to show the true difference in strength between them. Right after, the partner draws his weapon, asking if the kid doesn't know the rogue class is the strongest in combat against players. Focused on the attack, the masked one orders them to split up and attack at the same time, a plan the partner agrees to promptly. The warrior assesses the double lunge, recognizing the rogue class advantage and the versatility of their quick impulse skill. However, he activates his fire magic, confident that finishing those guys will be an extremely easy task thanks to that advanced technique. Noticing the glowing aura, the masked one is shocked and questions what kind of insane power that is. The big guy also gets spooked, not understanding how a warrior can have a starting skill based on fire. Taking advantage of the distraction, the assassin orders his ally to attack first so they can manage to measure the kid's real strength. With that, the partner lunges using his fast impulse and guarantees that no warrior can manage to dodge that movement. During the direct lunge, the criminal states it's impossible for anyone of that slow class to overcome a rogue's speed. But the bandit's confidence disappears quickly when he realizes his perfect attack failed miserably. The attack hits the target, but the protagonist holds the enemy's blade with his own hand, contradicting the bandit's claim of superiority. Without showing any annoyance, the young guy warns that a weak thrust like that doesn't cause the slightest damage. In front of that insane defense, the big guy goes into complete panic upon realizing the mistake he made. Taking advantage of the perfect opening, Suzumu prepares his counterattack, stating that taking down trash like that doesn't require any effort. With a ruthless movement, the warrior lands a devastating magic slash right in the adversary's chest. The system announces the elimination of the criminal and grants 10 fame points to the kid for the victory in combat. Without losing the rhythm, the guy points the shiny sword at the masked one and tells him to stop hiding and come fight. To provoke even more, the young guy mocks, asking if the leader is even weaker than the defeated henchman. Taken by fury, the assassin curses the kid while preparing to avenge his partner. The bandit lunges, yelling that he's level 6 and won't lose, while the protagonist focuses on his neck, planning a critical blow. As soon as the enemy blade approaches, the warrior performs an impeccable defensive block, deviating the weapon's trajectory. The system confirms the activation of the perfect defense, granting an immense bonus to the stats, making the guy celebrate the success of the maneuver. Analyzing the combat, he judges that depending only on a blow to the neck is very naive and returns the quick thrust. With the speed bonus, Suzumu appears surprisingly at the adversary's back, warning that the fight is over. The assassin widens his eyes, completely terrified upon noticing the deadly presence right behind him. Without giving a chance for defense, the protagonist pierces the bandit's back brutally with his magic sword. Bleeding a lot, the criminal laments the defeat, grumbling that it should be impossible to dodge that attack. The warrior explains coldly that he didn't need to dodge, he just used the speed increase to get a little out of range. Stating that missed blows don't cause critical damage, he pulls the blade back while the enemy's body dissolves into data. Immediately, the system announces the new elimination and the unlocking of the Guardian title for the accumulation of fame. The guy reads the advantages of the conquest and celebrates the status bonus, recognizing that hunting assassins brings insane benefits. Maintaining caution, he orders the system to hide the title and approaches the items left on the floor calmly. He remembers that players with a red name lose their entire inventory when they die, observing the potions and weapons scattered. In the middle of that pile of trash, an old scroll ends up grabbing his attention. Upon picking up the shiny item, the system confirms the obtainment of a mysterious map that awakens a strong feeling of familiarity in him. Analyzing the object better, the kid opens an excited smile upon noting that it's a rare treasure map. Despite the excellent discovery, he decides to focus on Pandora's labyrinth and summons his mount to follow the journey without distractions. The flaming horse appears fast along the way, while the young guy assesses that his storage space is already completely full. Already mounted on the beast, he discards the stolen daggers in the middle of the bushes, admitting he doesn't need that extra money now. With everything resolved, Suzumu pulls the animal's reins, excited, and resumes his journey at full speed. Riding through the plains, the warrior shows a lot of anxiety and tells Pandora's labyrinth to get ready for his arrival. The system updates his inventory, guaranteeing that his main gear is ready for the challenge. Just ahead, an immense stone structure appears on the horizon with a shadow knight guarding the big wooden door. The kid breaks his mount abruptly upon arriving at the location, confirming he finally found his destination. Walking on foot toward the entrance, he remembers that high-ranked divine swords are the rarest items in the entire game. The simple thought of conquering a power he never had in his past life leaves his whole body covered in goosebumps from excitement. However, the young guy focuses his vision on the imposing guard sitting on the steps, knowing he needs to overcome that barrier first. Feeling the approach, the knight wakes from his deep sleep, revealing a scary red glow through the helmet. The guard stands up slowly, leaning on his weapon, and questions with a heavy voice if the outsider seeks to enter the cursed labyrinth. Staring at the macabre figure with seriousness, the protagonist confirms the intention and asks what he needs to do to pass. Pointing his sharp lance at the intruder, the undead creature decrees that the only way to enter is by defeating him in a mortal combat. Suzumu gets into battle position, alerting himself that he can't lower his guard against the former hero of the village. He recalls the stories of the past, where that formidable warrior managed to annihilate 300 enemies at once all by himself. 50 years ago, the king of the region ordered the hero to protect that entrance with his own life, a duty he accepted blindly. Since then, the man never left his post, keeping his rotting body standing through pure and absolute strength of will. Observing the glow in the creature's eyes, the kid compliments the unwavering loyalty that kept him trapped there for so many decades. But soon he activates his flaming magic, arguing that a rotten existence like that is just a continuous suffering. Wielding the sword with a lot of firmness, the warrior prepares to start the awaited showdown against the legend. With a lot of respect in his voice, the young guy promises to free the noble knight from that eternal torment once and for all. The undead creature compliments the kid's great fighting spirit, but shows no intention at all of making the passage easy. In a brutal movement, the guard lunges, delivering a very heavy attack, warning that the passage remains forbidden. Suzumu lifts his sword in time and manages to block the veteran's colossal impact, raising dust on all sides. Holding the blow's immense pressure, the guy smiles, excited, and calls the monster for the real exchange of strength. Taking advantage of a gap in the enemy stance, he lunges quickly, delivering a relentless sequence of 3 continuous slashes. Despite his offensive, the warrior is pushed back, complementing the refined techniques the adversary still possesses even in that state. Understanding he needs to use full strength, the protagonist concentrates a massive amount of magic directly on his weapon. With a powerful spin, he releases all the accumulated energy, firing an overwhelming flaming wave against the enemy. The magic impact hits the guardian square on, dragging the heavy armored body violently along the dirt floor. After the attack, the young guy maintains the stance while the creature recovers, admitting the outsider's capabilities are quite fun. Showing honor in battle, the knight stands firmly, declaring that the kid is an adversary totally worthy of respect. Being so, the undead guard warns he's going to face him with all his strength. With a quick movement, the knight prepares for the showdown. Suzumu remembers that in his past life this attack was very famous among players. That divine-level technique massacred countless people, even him being a warrior in decomposition. Intimidated by this exact ability, many adventurers couldn't even step into the labyrinth. The power of that blow increases according to the strength of the conviction of those who use it. The devastating technique is known as Burning Soul. With a lot of fury, the monster fires his unmatched slash in the guy's direction. Excited, the protagonist decides to test how strong that technique is that buried so many players. With that, he lunges, asking for the guardian to show everything he's got. The young guy delivers his own attack, putting all his energy into it. The massive clash between the blades creates an explosion on the battlefield. After the impact, the warrior notes, surprised, that the enemy managed to stop his advance. The insane strength of the blow pushes the guy back abruptly. Wiping the blood from his mouth, he compliments the power expected from a legendary ability. Excited, Suzumu confirms that is the true unmatched slash. The armored guardian keeps firmly in his defense stance. The guy states that is exactly what makes the enemy worthy of being defeated by him. But the knight warns he won't yield the path and tells the intruder to admit defeat. As a sign of respect, the monster promises to spare the kid's life if he retreats now. Refusing the offer, the young guy guarantees he hasn't lost yet, and that he seeks precisely to fight against the strong. The undead warrior calls the kid to attack him again, warning that he already predicted all his techniques. Questioning that certainty, the protagonist decides to release his true supreme swordsman class. With that, an exclusive talent is activated, granting a massive boost to his weapon's attributes. The undead realizes right away that the opponent's aura became way more oppressive. Finding everything very interesting, the monster feels his own battle spirit ignite again. With the true showdown starting now, Suzumu lunges fast against the guardian. He warns he's a man of his word and that he's getting more and more excited about the fight. Promising to free the knight from the suffering, the guy lands a very heavy blow. Feeling that relentless will to win, the veteran remembers the times of his own youth. The passion for those glory days wakes up once again in the old soldier's heart. That intense feeling runs through every centimeter of his worn-out body. At that instant, his rotten form fills again with the honor of a true warrior. He recognizes that the kid in front of him also carries that same pure essence. Fighting for his convictions without fearing death, the knight launches a brutal attack. The massive impact raises a crater on the floor, proving the veteran's absolute strength. The huge power of the movement makes the guardian drag his feet heavily through the dirt. On the other side, the protagonist also slides back, trying to maintain his own balance. Suzumu decides to end the fight using the enemy's legendary technique and prepares his sword. Accepting the provocation, the undead lifts his heavy blade for the final showdown. With an extremely focused look, the young guy decrees that the time has come for them to end that. He lunges with everything, releasing his own overwhelming variation of Burning Soul. The knight also fires his unmatched slash, using all the energy he still has left. The two devastating abilities collide head-on in an absurdly intense dispute. Soon the clash of the techniques generates a colossal explosion that devastates the whole scenery around. The dense smoke starts to lower slowly across the totally destroyed battlefield. Panting, the kid celebrates his narrow victory after surviving the energy explosion. The knight's body starts turning into dust, and he thanks the guy for that liberation. The veteran states that thanks to the young guy, he can finally leave with his head held high. Suzumu observes the farewell respectfully, saying he just did what was natural for a warrior. The system announces that the guy reached the maximum affection with the monster, activating a bonus. The kid gets quite confused upon realizing he triggered an unforeseen additional chance. A magic scroll appears floating, offering the chance to learn the legendary technique. The protagonist is left totally in shock at the insane level of the reward he received. Drinking a healing potion, he parties that he has never seen anyone manage that ability before. Soon the system confirms a massive experience gain, elevating the warrior to level 6. Very excited, the young guy warns the veteran's soul that he will carry his will forward. With the path clear, he stops in front of the gates and tells the system to hide his true class. As soon as he enters the dark corridor, the secret investigation quest officially starts. Assessing the risks, he knows he needs to clear the first area and already equips his defenses. With a sharp smile, the protagonist prepares to start his slaughter. Soon a large group of creepy goblins blocks the passage in the stone corridor. The creatures growl aggressively, ready to tear apart the cheeky human intruder. Mocking the welcome committee, the warrior activates his flame and lunges against them. He rips through the monsters with a lot of ease, thanking them for the easy experience they are yielding. Excited about the massacre, the young guy guarantees he's going to manage to level up real quick this way. A short time later, he steps on the carcasses, finding that clearing the outside area was a piece of cake. He knows the difficulty increases in an insane way near the core, which always frustrated players. However, the guy knows perfectly the exact route to cross the secret traps. Taking calculated steps, the warrior applies his previous knowledge to the puzzle. After stepping on the last mechanism, he concludes that using his memories is a fair advantage. The system congratulates the player for reaching the dazzling central area of the labyrinth. Lying down in a relaxed way, the owner of the place is surprised by a human having arrived so far. The guy assesses the witch Pandora, noting that her appearance is as beautiful as the rumors said. Ignoring the visual charm, he points the sword and tells the rotten sorceress to come with everything. Finding the audacity funny, the woman compliments the guy's beauty, questioning if that's how he treats a pretty lady. Without falling for the talk, Suzumu hits back, guaranteeing that she was beautiful 50 years ago but now is just an ugly monster. The provocation hits the sorceress square on, making her relaxed attitude disappear into pure irritation. Knowing the history, the warrior reveals that the true mission in the past was to seal the witch in that labyrinth. He continues exposing the truth, remembering that the villain was exiled from the village for mastering terrifying dark magic. Instead of denying, Pandora bursts into laughter in a sinister way in front of the accusations. Totally superior, she compliments the kid's cleverness for having managed to get so far. The witch reveals her scary demonic form, questioning what would be the perfect reward for that meddler. With a malicious surprise in her hands, she suggests that a death of pure despair sounds like an excellent prize. With that, the immense dark divine sword appears on the battlefield, radiating a corrupted aura. The system immediately announces the appearance of the level 10 boss to the despair of any rookie. Focused on his main goal, the protagonist recognizes the legendary blade right away. Very excited, he lunges with everything, celebrating that the divine weapon was always there for the taking. The sorceress blocks the lunge, doubting that a mere human can manage to steal her treasure. With a violent clash of energy, the monster demands the cheeky intruder recognize his own weakness. The brutal impact of the block pushes the warrior back with force. Being dragged through the destroyed floor, he confirms that that resistance was what was expected of a high-level boss. Admired by the difficulty, the guy admits that that brute strength is almost giving him goosebumps. Staring at the kid, Pandora notes that despite the words, he doesn't show any hint of fear. Determined to change that, she jumps ferociously, promising to give a taste of the true terror to the enemy. Suzumu defends the heavy blow, realizing that the monster's giant span gives an insane advantage of reach. Taking advantage of the opening, the witch uses her tail for an extremely fast surprise attack. The treacherous impact hits the young guy's arm, making his only weapon fly far away. Without mercy, the villain fires a fatal slash, mocking that the kid only knows how to talk about advantage. The protagonist receives the massive attack head-on, letting out a scream of pain upon being thrown. With the severe collision, an immense cloud of dust and debris rises in the scenery. Believing in victory, the sorceress decrees the end of the line for the greedy rookie. However, the warrior resists the damage, guaranteeing that the result of that fight isn't decided yet. Maintaining the sharp look, he promises that the battle only ends after she tastes his power. The monster bursts into laughter, finding it a joke that the unarmed kid is trying to kill her using only an empty sheath. Activating his perfect control skill, the guy concentrates energy, stating that that blow will be enough to win. Upon recognizing the presence of the legendary technique, the villain's expression changes to absolute shock. Desperate, she lunges with all her fury, knowing she needs to wipe out the adversary immediately. Totally focused on the moment, Suzumu warns quietly that it's already too late to retreat. Next, he releases a colossal energy slash, sweeping everything in its path. Putting all his hate into the lunge, the young guy bets his own destiny on that single lethal move.